and the goal is to bring you your next favorite band.
Sweet, that intro is my new favorite band. That's phenomenal. I'm so excited to be on.
Yeah. I heard a rumor that you might be able to play that song live today.
You heard correctly. Yes.
Excellent. So,
Good enough for rapping.
I don't know when I rock out here on your next favorite band show.
and listen, it's going to be everybody's favorite band.
Phil, you weren't supposed to make me get all... God almighty,
But this
Phil.
is why we do it.
Like, seriously. I gotta gather myself. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Welcome to your next favorite band. That's both the show title and our promise to you. We here at Stereophilia Studio are tireless in our pursuit of finding incredible, genre-defiant artists who are either a hot up-and-coming band or a group that has been delivering for years but have flown under the radar.
Tonight, we have music from the garage that is an exploration of the human experience through the lens of nature's ever-changing beauty with Theo Bleak.
Each month, we will bring you live streams, audio podcasts, and perhaps even a live concert where you can listen to the stories and hear the music of artists personally curated by us based on what we feel will be worthy of your time. Be sure to subscribe and tune in to each episode because the possibilities are endless and you never know who will be
Your next favorite band.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Philip Reese, and you are listening to your next favorite band. We've got some international next favorite band for you today with Theo Bleak. Really can't wait to dig into the music and the story with her. And just before we get into the interview, just always like to touch on a few things off the top. One is to remind you once again, now that we've got some bigger ticket items, which we'll touch on in a second here behind us within the culture, the zeitgeist, if you will, our Listen to the Dissonance event, songs and conversations about mental health featuring this brilliant, stunning lineup that I've just humbled to bring together. But John Worthy, Brittany Ann Tranbaugh, Brian Walker from A Day Without Love, and Cass Noel will kind of grace us with brave stories, powerful music, and we've got two opportunities for you to catch this show on Friday night, February 28th, in Bethlehem at the Ice House. The doors are open at 6. The show starts at 7. We have extra time there because there's also tabling organizations that'll be setting up. And then the second chance to see things is Saturday, March 1st in Wayne, Pennsylvania at 118 North. Their doors at 1:30, show at 2:30. Those organizations that are going to be there are mental health, either government or nonprofit organizations that are offering services. And so should anybody want to learn more, grab a pamphlet, maybe talk to somebody who might need some help, they'll be there to kind of share what's available, keep things anonymous. And it could be either group options or one-on-one options. And even if it's for a loved one where you're grabbing some information to pass along to someone who is struggling, whether it's depression, anxiety, substance abuse, suicidal ideation, any of those things. Those are going to be a safe space to at least just be in the room. If you're not yet ready to kind of speak to it, that's okay too. But the stories, the conversations, the music is all there to be supportive. In that way, no solutions figured out, nothing that we have that we think we've got some sort of solution for, just simply a space where we can talk about it without stigma, without hesitancy, and even if you're just there to listen, that's totally cool. But also, like we said, organizations will be there in case you need that, and it's time. But one of the things that may be causing this to be a difficult time for people is we picked February because of the weather. The post-holiday season, the new year, all that stuff, it can be a difficult time for people. So that's why we specifically pick February. But also there's a lot of garbage and crap going on in the world right now, predominantly even in the United States. And these aren't meant to be political statements. In fact, it's the exact opposite. I'm not sure why or how something like treating someone with respect, to be their genuine selves became a political statement. I'm not sure why someone committing a crime could be a political commentary. I'm not sure all of these different things, and I'm not, again, trying to either earn anybody's, I'm just simply making the statement that too much has become either sided, and it's just not necessarily ever meant to be that way. Respect, empathy, equity, fairness, rule of law, those are all things that should never have been politicized in the first place. So I'll step off the soapbox there, but I just think that's, again, speaking to the mental health of the moment. The other big thing that we were kind of referencing there is obviously the Super Bowl happened. This episode's coming out on Wednesday. We're recording it on Super Bowl Sunday. So the reason why I'm not necessarily making any commentary or comment about the winner, even though we do this show very near the Philly area, is just because it hasn't happened yet. So I hope both teams had a good time and enjoyed themselves, and nobody gets, taken away from the game through a call of a ref or something like that. I hope it's just a stunningly awesome display of athleticism and competition, and I think that's a great thing. That can help distract you away from these things. Hopefully this show can help you distract you away from these things, but don't forget to address the core issue, whether it's you or for a loved one. Anyway, excellent guest tonight, and it's kind of appropriate that now maybe we look to another country. Tonight we have Theo Bleak on. They are from Scotland. Their music is amazing, and I know that they're going to be your next favorite band, particularly if you have that kind of ear for that 90s sound that everyone knows that I love. And even if that's not your thing, you're still going to love this anyway, because it's her unique take on all of this stuff. But let's take a listen to this incredible song, "It's Not Doing Me Any Good" by Theo Bleak.
Do you want to watch that way? But I think that's...
Currently living in the historic city of Dundee, Scotland, Theo Bleak is an innovative songwriter, composer, and producer whose music resonates with a profound sense of place and reflection. With each note, she weaves a sonic tapestry that captures the beauty and complexity of the world around her, drawing listeners into a journey through time, nature, and emotion. Her music is deeply influenced by the landscapes of Perthshire and Angus, where she finds inspiration during reflective walks through the countryside. And welcome to the show, Theo Bleak.
Hello.
Hello there. And walks on the countryside, that's where this whole thing is shot. Like, for those of you listening to the podcast version, it's a gorgeous setup where you guys are performing in the forest.
Yes, it was super fun, super creative day. Just trying to find somewhere to play the drums without getting in trouble.
About the song, I mean, just incredible. What's amazing is when I was first taking a listen to this, it just kept giving me that, like, Harriet Wheeler, the Sundays type sound and feel. And then when I was doing research for the interview, I learned that it's a big influence for you as the Sundays.
Yeah, the Sundays are definitely a huge influence, and I love getting compared to Harriet Wheeler. I think she's super cool. So.
Oh, totally. Yes, I mean, it's just tremendous, and your vocals are in that same realm. But like I was saying, it's definitely like your own sound. It's not like you're trying to imitate them or anything like that. It's definitely a sound all to your own.
Thank you very much. That's lovely.
But if we want to talk a little bit about the video, I meant to do it before it was gone, but talk about the members of the band, so the other people who perform with you.
So I primarily work with my long term best friend Mark Johnston. So
Nice.
he produces and writes with me everything. I honestly couldn't create the sound I've created without him. Like he is a prodigy. So we've done a lot together, and I guess live we've played with so many wonderful musicians. In that video, our really good friend Craig Neal played the drums for it, and he's played live with us a lot. But he's a wonderful friend as well.
Very cool. And the you do also. This is always something we like to point out. You're not just a studio sound. You're trying to create a sound you're going to recreate live. And I always think that's super important because people go to see, you fall in love with a band or a song or an album or whatever, you go see it. And if it doesn't match, you're kind of like left wanting, maybe a little annoyed, not as,
Yeah.
but you don't let that happen. You make sure that that's what it's going to sound like when you go see you perform live as well.
Well, I definitely try, and I think that I definitely do when I'm writing. I play with like performing in mind. Sometimes I write with performing in mind. I guess as you probably know, like the live industry is so hard for people at the moment. So I do have to do a
Sure.
lot of things like on my own or just me and Mark, where things are a bit stripped back. But I do always just try to like capture as well as I can the kind of essence of like my recordings. But I love
Yeah, and
performing.
I think from what I was reading, because obviously I'm not like super hand on the pulse of the UK live music scene, but it seems like you built quite a following through your live performances.
I think we're definitely getting there now. Like we've done a lot of sort of I think like the grassroots is so important, and
Sure.
I think in my hometown of Dundee it was just giving people things to go to and like to fall in love with, just live music and events and community. And so I feel like it was great because we were able to explore our sound and become more confident performing, but it was also like connecting with people and re sort of charging a music scene that it once kind of was. So over the last year as well, I've been really lucky to support a lot of amazing artists and be given opportunities. But yeah, I feel grateful when anyone buys a ticket to come see me. So I'm like, wow, you've spent your hard-earned money, so it's very appreciated.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned there that you are from and currently in Dundee, Scotland.
Yes.
And we were joking before we went live recording this was that you're looking very Scottish tonight with the darker tones and
Oh,
the.
I know. I know it's so dark in my house. It's like, and my laptop is hanging on by a thread, I believe. So the camera's really trying its
Yep.
best.
Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed. But that is one of the obviously reasons why we had to do a pre-record on a weekend is because of the time difference. It's dark
Yes.
by you, and it's what 6 o'clock.
Yeah, just after 6 here.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're like just after 1 o'clock here on the East Coast. And so obviously we couldn't do this necessarily on a regular kind of live stream type experience. So went with the pre-record, and it works great. And you're looking like I think you said a very medieval look we've got going on tonight.
That's it. It's the whole vibe.
There you go. And so one of the things about that, we're going to get more into, how you kind of found music. But before we do, let's talk about this. Your Pain EP was actually on the short list for Scottish Album of the Year.
Yeah,
How
it's
cool is
crazy.
that?
I know. I couldn't believe it.
How did you hear the news? Like, where were you? How did that kind of get delivered to you?
So I was actually living and working on Skye, like the Isle of Skye, and I was just exhausted because I was doing ridiculously long days. I was saving up to actually come over to the US, and
Hmm.
I just got an email through to say it was like I knew it had been longlisted, and I was like, oh, that's lovely, but to be
Hmm.
shortlisted, I was really shocked because it just is it's such a big deal, and I thought it was just nice to be recognized, especially because
Certainly.
it had been released a bit before, so that way where you're like, oh yeah, people are still finding it and listening to it.
That is very cool. And for the most part, maybe exclusively, you've done either EPs or singles so far, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I hear there might be a full length coming out next year.
I'm hoping so, yeah. I'm
Hmm.
definitely going to do another EP like in the next coming months.
Nice.
And then my plan is to do album. So we'll
Very cool.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
The other
very
thing I'm kind of noticing, because I know right now the algorithms want content, whether it's singles or EPs instead of full lengths. And also, I think as an artist, you probably get frustrated that you might sequence an album and you want people to listen to it and they're just picking one or two tracks to listen to and move on. It's got to be frustrating. But what I've
Yeah.
also seen some artists do is release two kind of 5-song EPs back to back that are meant to be a full length, almost like a
Right,
part one
okay.
and a part two, and then also release it on vinyl where side one is the one EP and side two is the other EP. So you still almost
Yeah.
capture the same content, but in the way that might be better for the algorithm.
Yeah. The rules.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah, yeah.
algorithm. Yeah. I think a lot I try my philosophy generally on music is I try not to like think too much about what would be the best like strategies, and I think sometimes that's maybe shoots me in the foot a bit, but I just feel like I just hope people will find it and give
Sure.
it the time if it's long length. But
Hmm.
it's my attention is like so like my attention span is like not as good as it used to be as well. And I'm like, right, I need to like, set the tone and like if I need to work like if I'm gonna release these things, I'm like I wanna I don't know, improve my own my
Sure.
own attention span as well.
No, I'm with you on that, where it's like you're trying to create what you want to create, not necessarily what
Yeah.
might sell, if you will. Because I think it's the same thing from the show here. Like a lot of people have said, gosh, if you could make it 20, 30 minutes, a lot more people might check it out. And I'm like, I don't care. Like,
No, it's
that's
not why
not
you're
what I'm
doing it.
looking to do, right? There's too much of a story, there's too much music to share. So this is what I'm hoping people would get into. And if it's a smaller audience, then so be it. Like, that's what
I
it
agree
is.
with you. It's
Yeah.
not for everyone. And like I got rid of a lot of like short form content apps and things because I just thought it doesn't really resonate with me and
Sure.
I don't agree with it. So it's like I don't want to be part of it. And
Right,
like
right.
again, I get why people use it and I think it's
Sure.
really, each to their own. But yeah, it's if I think a lot of people were like, oh, you're gonna, I don't know, jeopardize things. But I was like, well, that's
Right.
fine.
No,
I don't
and I
know
think
that I
too, if
can.
you compromised to do that and it still wasn't successful, you'd feel like you just completely sacrificed anything that
Exactly.
all your integrity. So no, we're on the same page with that.
That's cool.
And then on the other thing that I heard maybe for this year is, are you coming to the US to tour?
Well,
I
I
know it's
would.
always up in the air because of everything.
Well, yeah, I guess, and I think the visa is always kind of the
Sure.
problem for me, just the expense of it.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
my plan is to come over and hopefully do a few like more showcase things,
Yeah.
and then I can maybe come and tour when I don't know, a kind prince gives me 10 grand to get my visa.
Oh, you haven't gotten that email yet where they promise you
I
the prince of
know.
some country out there?
I'm like, I need you. I need you
Yeah, that's
now.
right. But if you do, I mean, obviously, whenever that would possibly happen, we'd love to help amplify things, and hopefully, could be close enough that we could go catch a show. So,
Oh, please. Thank you so much. Yes, I very much look forward to it. And I feel like I've only had, like, with people when I've been over, have been so supportive. And I know there's
sure.
a
Yeah, you've
great,
got if you look at like the Spotify listeners, it breaks it down by like country, state, whatever. Like you have a real fair amount of listeners here in the U.S.
yeah, I think it's like mainly the US, which is, and most of
A
like the people I
stranger in
work
your
with,
own land, but
I know I am, honestly, I am. And most of the people I work with are over in America as well. So
mhm.
it's funny how things happen.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I would love to catch a show. And one thing we always love to do on this show here is actually kind of roll things back to the beginning. So we always love to hear kind of like how you navigated to music, where it grabbed a hold of your brain and didn't let go. You grew up in, I hope I get this right, Blair Gowrie.
That's right. Yeah, Blair
Nice.
Gallery.
And then you moved to Dundee, where you are now at like 9 years old. But
Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about those earlier years. Like, was there music in the family? Did you learn to play an instrument or sing or anything like that that kind of like inspired you to keep going in that direction?
Yeah, I don't really know any sort of memory without music. I think I was so hyper when I was a kid and just singing and like did my own creations. I think a lot of the time and
Right.
doing shows for my mum and dad, and I just loved music and I loved performing. And my parents are huge music fans. Like they just both have such like an eclectic taste. So I felt lucky that I grew up where music was always on. And my brother, he's 8 years older than me, but he played
Hmm.
guitar as a teenager. And yeah, I was
That's
definitely
definitely inspiring for sure.
yeah, and I was around it a lot. And when I went to school and high school and things, I learned originally like brass and like I was more classically trained,
Sure.
singing and brass and things like that, and did musical theater and like yeah, I think maybe just I'm I just struggled a lot with the kind of maybe where I'm more of an artist type, that it was the structure of a lot of it, like having to go to orchestras and all these things. I
Sure.
found it all very stressful and like just maybe just a bit selfish in that way, that I was like, nah, I just want to do my own creations. And when I met Mark, when we were very young at school, I think he was like, we should write songs together. And then I kind of moved away from all the other things and yeah, wrote my own things.
Yeah.
So
Where were you first? What age were you or when you were first writing your own music?
I think probably I used to write compositions on the piano, which I loved, and I was
Mm-hmm.
when I was maybe like 8 or 9, and
Yeah.
I would sing with them. And then I guess songs, like proper songwriting, when I was probably 12 or 13 onwards.
Sure.
And I was in like a lot of bands over the years and things like that. But yeah, it felt innate to me. Like it didn't feel ever like something I had to think about or that. And I struggled to learn a lot of things, but I didn't have to learn how to songwrite. I just knew how to do that,
It
which was
just
weird.
came naturally. Yeah.
Just yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
it does seem to me to be just naturally gifted. Just certain people are born for certain things, and this is very clearly what you were meant to do.
Oh,
Um,
thank you. That's what I hope.
yeah, and then and then there's this old soul aspect to things. A lot of you harken back to stuff. So even the sound may be more modern, and even the '90s being modern comparative to some of the, or even like Speak To, or
Yeah.
like there's one of the EPs is called the Iliad, and you have references to Jane Austen. So like a lot of that kind of like harkening back type stuff. It almost reminds me of like the way like a bard was telling stories with music rather than
Hmm.
just writing songs because they sounded pretty. That's always what it kind of, as I was like listening through this, I was just always like, this is a bard. Like this is somebody who's telling stories with their
Yeah.
music.
And I love stories. Like I was a big reader, and I
Totally.
love philosophy and things. So I guess yeah, it is. It's like a diary entries or something for sure.
Hmm.
More my thoughts on things.
Yes. Which isn't always easy. I mean, like that's got to be sometimes extremely vulnerable,
Mm.
you feel almost like you've cut your heart out and put it out on stage, and then if somebody doesn't like it, you're probably like, uh.
I know, but you know, people are entitled to their opinion, and I actually often will share like bad reviews of my songs because I think I really like when someone has something constructive to say about why something's like not good. I really like that kind of fashioning of culture and like
Sure.
I don't know. I know I'm sure other artists feel different about it, but I'll always read these things. I'm like, right, okay, well, fair enough. Like you're entitled to your opinion. Like
Yeah.
yeah, but
Well,
no,
if it's respectful and
oh for sure, yeah. If someone's
like
just
if it's done in
being
a method of like constructive criticism is good,
yeah,
like it's a good thing. But if it's
yeah, not
just
just
gross and disrespectful, it's like
oh no, no, I would be like that
delete.
blocked. Yeah,
Yeah.
delete. But if it's something that I think, well, that's really well thought out, and you've actually got like a real opinion on that, I'm like, well, okay, you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah. Now, sticking with this topic too, of where it's like almost journal entries and perhaps getting extremely vulnerable. I read this. I think this is a quote of that's associated with the songwriting aspect, but somewhere along the way I read that you had said songwriting can sometimes make you incredibly unwell.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. If I wouldn't remember saying that, but yeah, I don't think it's like I hear a lot of artists be like, "Oh, it's such a cathartic process." I'm like, I don't really particularly feel like that. I think
Hmm.
some of the music has been a real struggle and like a real, like, I'm like, I want this to be a certain way and it doesn't sound the way I imagine. And then you kind of really grapple with it. And like, it can be, and yeah, you can really look at yourself. Like, I've changed a lot over the last 10 years because I've just ripped my character apart and
Sure.
like looked really,
Yeah,
beneath,
and then you got to
beneath the
piece yourself
surface.
back together again, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, I guess I
You're
could
like,
change that if I wanted to.
exactly. Like, I think it's quite a, yeah, it can be quite a like a deconstructionist kind of
Sure.
thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of topics about self-esteem and some of the harder parts of, just life and those obstacles that you have to deal with. Like, and then I think that's probably why this music really resonates with people, because it's touching on these universal concepts that a lot of people struggle with. And when they
Yeah.
can have a song to turn to, it helps them feel less alone. Like, we talk about this all the time. It's what that show, Listen to the Dissonance, that I talked about off the top of the show is about. Is like, in these moments, you feel the worst part about it is feeling alone. So if you can have
Yeah.
anything that makes you feel like there are other people who are going through that too, you can get through another moment, another day, or whatever. So I think that's probably why this is resonating with a lot of people when they are in tune with the lyrics as well as the music.
Yeah, I think that's definitely been an important thing to me because I think I think we live in a really individualistic world now as well, where people are really
Sure.
probably lonelier than ever. And I was so lonely in my early 20s and things, and I think, I don't know, it's just like having that sense that someone understands you is like really important. And I've always,
Totally.
yeah, it's hard to make a difference in the world, but you can try like by doing small things like that.
Yeah, definitely. This might be a good time to bring in another song, because it may speak to this kind of topic. Because especially the chorus of this particular song. But the song is called "I Look Like a Fool to You." So let me play it a little bit, and then I'll bring it down, and we can kind of speak to it. How's that sound?
Cool. Sounds
Okay.
good.
How do I word it? What's right on the surface? You're quiet so much now, missing your voice. I fill the space with meaningless noise. I'm staring on purpose and she's holding still. Get out the picture and she'd be my girl. It's colder this September and I'm overkill still. Ooh, spit it out. Spit it out. I look like a fool to you. I look like a fool to you.
So I wanted to make sure we got to this one also because it's quite different from the first song we played, to kind of show the full scope and diversity of your sound. Because this one obviously more acoustic, more orchestral, and just still these stunningly gorgeous vocals. But again, like, maybe speak to this song in particular to either the topic we were just chatting about, or even just its own thing if it stands on its own.
Yeah, it's funny when I hear the song side by side because I'm like, it's so different. it's like a sonic thing, but yeah.
Yeah, sure.
It's yeah, this song's funny as well because it changed so much meaning. Like, I love that about music as well, when the meaning kind of changes over time.
Over
like,
time, yes.
Yeah, which, I don't know, interesting.
Yeah. But the chorus is you're perceiving this other person assessing you as a fool, but they won't say it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely that feeling. I think I originally wrote it just feeling when you go to places with, like, I had a bit of a fallout with these people, and when people look at you, like, they feel sorry for you. It just made me so mad at the time.
Sure.
And then I guess I went through a really difficult thing in the music industry actually last year, and I just was like, the kind of the exploitation that happens to artists, and then
Sure.
I thought about this chorus, and I thought, oh yeah, that's like
Yeah.
another way to frame it. Like it's just feeling vulnerable, and the video that we did for it, I thought I loved, because it was just like such a vulnerable being on my
Certainly.
own and standing like that.
Yeah, it's a song that really gives you chills.
Oh, thank you.
and to that same point about like the universality of so many people have gone through this moment.
Yeah.
And the music industry, it's a great pivot there, because the next topic I was going to even talk about is you get criticized, and this is again quotes somewhat, not your exact quote, but you were saying something about how society or even the music industry or whatever criticizes you for all of these choices that you make.
Mm.
And then you even went a little bit farther, and I would love to have you speak to this too, because these are topics we love to put out there, is especially women.
Mhm.
So even more criticism to a female, either in the music industry or just in life, pursuing an artistic endeavor or a musical kind of endeavor. So if you want to just speak to that, I think that's a very powerful topic.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in music a long time, and I think that I've seen it's always like a similar archetype of kind of exploitation that happens, and then also paired with a kind of I don't know, if you call anything out, or you've ended up in a situation where you've been pushed and pushed and pushed, and then you lash out, it's a very different reaction than if a man were to do it. And a lot of the time I don't, and again, exploitation of everyone happens in music. I'm not saying this
Sure.
is like just an issue to women, but what I found particularly interesting is the reaction after it, and then weaponizing things like, oh, she's not well, or like she's like this, that, like there's always kind of like quite disgraceful remarks made when you stand up.
100%.
Yeah, like when you stand up for your own art, which I'm like, why would I not do that? But yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of kind of chancers in the industry over the years where I just think you are absolutely going to get found out, but then they kind of don't, and I think it's like there's just like a lot of ways that people can operate in this kind of misogynistic and like
Sure.
bizarre
And
way.
again, it's
Yeah.
even some of the stuff I talked about off the top as well, where it's like it's almost being enabled or emboldened now in some ways.
It is,
And we were making progress. We were getting to a place that was more fair and more equal and more where people could be themselves. And then now all we did was slide that, barometer back a little bit. And to me, again, I hate the fact that even has to be perceived as a political commentary. It's a sad, it's human, decency commentary. It's like, this is just, anyway. I totally understand what you mean. And it's why I celebrate or really love to see, you're seeing more and more either songwriter nights that are dedicated to just women or just African American, let's just say Black people, because it doesn't have to be American, or anybody who's in a more like, disenfranchised community. And the point is that you almost hope you get to a world where you don't need to do that.
I know that it's just the norm.
That it's just music, but
it's music, and it's
unfortunately the deck is stacked right now that you have to do it, and we all need to kind of honor and celebrate those things and attend them. And so anyway, we think it's great.
I'm the same. And I find it really amazing. Actually, me and Mark were talking about this literally yesterday. Just that it's so lovely to see how many women and non-binary folk are like coming out, and like it's all lineups that are just like all women now or whatever. And I just, that makes me so excited, because it just wasn't the case like even 10 years ago. And it shows you that diversifying lineups and actually pushing this and questioning the norm does work. And I think that is something to celebrate, and which is really exciting.
Totally.
But it is unfortunate that there is just still like, and again, probably like a lot of things in the world, it's all built on like fear. So like you don't, I think a lot of artists don't want to say things that have happened to them because they're frightened that it'll affect their career, or that that like things like that. And I think that's really disgraceful, because there is no HR, like there's no one to go to if it's going wrong. And But that being said, there is a lot of progress, and there is a lot of wonderful people.
Sure.
And you just have to be very careful with who you let in.
100%. That is the very good advice there. And the next point I had read recently that you are putting less weight on what you're doing, meaning as far as these types of criticisms or even your, I guess the way I interpreted it was also your hope of where it gets to. You're just putting your art out
Yeah.
there and then just working with it, which is helping you be more creative.
Absolutely. Again, my philosophy on it is like I will try not to ponder too much over my. If I get to a point where I'm really happy with like a song or a piece of work or whatever, I'll just release it, and I'm like, and then that's it. Like I won't really think about it again. I'm like, that was, what I meant at the time that I did it, and I just try to keep creating all the time. I mean, there's obviously that's hard, and I've been privileged that we've been able to record ourselves and things, so I've had that ability to release regularly. But I
Sure.
think that I think it just it kind of manifests like a just a great creative practice, being able to create all the time and explore and like change things. And yeah, I don't really think about it that much. I just make music and release it, and I'm
That's
like, well,
cool.
if other things happen, that's a byproduct, like a wonderful byproduct.
Right,
But
right. Yeah.
I'm just grateful to be able
To
to
create.
release music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is so cool. And I heard too that you have your own studio, like you have something. Is that, I imagine that's where I got this line from, where it's music from the garage, where I set off the
Yeah.
top. Is there like you have like a home studio where you can record and engineer things on your own?
Yeah, one of the best choices we ever made. I worked when we worked like full time, both Mark and I, during
Hmm.
COVID. We just saved up some money and renovated, the garage, my mum and dad's sort of 1970s, 1960s garage. It was covered in cobwebs, bees, like wasps' nests, awful, awful, ghastly. Oh my god, honestly.
That should have been like the
But it was the
first album
most fun.
cover, was what that
Yeah,
looked like to
it should have
start.
been. I wish I'd taken more pictures, but it was the most fun ever. Like, because my dad's like, my mum and dad are both like very creative, and we planned it all, like, and just did it really cheap, and
Hmm.
it's just the best choice we ever made. And yeah, we I can't even imagine how much we've saved because we've been able to rehearse there, record there, like write there. And more now we're moving further to recording in other studios and things, which has been lovely, and we're
Sure.
elevating the sound. But um,
But you can
yeah,
always still demo or get
I,
creative in that space. It's like
yeah,
your art, or your studio, like the art studio, in the most simplistic way sense of the word.
I'm so grateful for that space, and I'm like, I don't take it for granted because, yeah, it's my little haven, and
Do
I
you
feel
ever
very
get
lucky to
like
have
either,
it.
like, I could just imagine like dinner time, 2 a.m. in the morning, get super inspired and just run out there and quick record something?
It's been ridiculous. Like it's
That's
been out
awesome.
there till 6 in the morning. You open the door and it's like the sun's risen. You're like, oh my god, like no, not again.
Right, right, right. Yeah, but I mean that creative kind of spirit just moves you whenever it kind of wants, and you
It
can't always,
does.
and then you might forget if you don't do it right away.
Exactly. It's just, yeah, such a privilege to have that and be able to go on a walk and then go, oh, I've got an idea. Like I'm just gonna go home and straight up execute that idea. Like
Yeah, no.
I don't have to wait.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard on this show stories of songwriters who were like at work and they would like run to the stairwell and like quick sing a melody into their phone and then go back to their desk. It's
Yeah,
like,
literally, I've been
I
there
just, I
myself.
love that, like, the muse found you and you're like, she's gonna go away.
Yeah,
I
literally.
need them to
No.
get this down. You can't just jot it down, like, it's not pen and paper. It's not like a concept for a plot. It's a musical inspiration and you need to sing it, or some other way
That's
of
so
recording it.
lovely.
Yeah, that's
It's
really
like when
funny.
you wake up from a dream, and you're like, what was it? You're trying to remember the
Yes, exactly.
details. Yeah, you need to get it down like
Yeah, and they're
quickly.
like slowly fading, and if you wait for coffee, you're like, I had this weird dream and can't remember it all right now, but it was
Oh,
super
I
weird.
hate that feeling. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's really funny. So I also thought it was important to point out other people from Scotland, singers through the history, and I don't know if these were specific to Dundee or the region or what have you, but the Cocteau Twins,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
and the
They
Twilight Sad, who we're going to get into a little bit more about them in a second. But like, I just figured maybe share some other inspiring local bands who made it bigger, so
Oh,
that
wow.
they were obviously inspiring to you as a younger musician.
I mean, yeah, Scotland has got so much like history. It's actually crazy. Dundee, where I'm from, we had the Associates, who were
Yep.
a super cool band, and super interesting people as
Sure.
well. And yeah, we've had a few folk from Dundee that have kind of taken off, and then I mean Glasgow obviously like is
Right.
famous for their scene, and I mean some of my favorite bands like the Blue Nile and the Coxwell Twins, as you mentioned. I mean,
Yep.
Liz Fraser's a huge influence to me and my
Definitely.
singing style. So
Sure.
I adore her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in recent years, there's definitely, I mean, there's like the Twilight Sad, as you mentioned, Mogwai, like all this kind of
Mm-hmm.
group that are just fascinating to me. They're so cool, and it's like how are
Yeah.
you
Right.
effortlessly cool.
Right.
But yeah, we've had so many and so many wonderful singer songwriters. I mean, just to mind Rachel Sermani, she's like a wonderful folk singer songwriter. I
Yep.
just find her album is beautiful.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very creative ecosystem, and I think because we've got so much history and based in art, culture, fashion, music. Like I think people, I don't know, it's like comes in kind of waves, and you see like I don't know. I find it really exciting when you see like the new age of music scene that's appeared, and you're like, oh my god, you've definitely been listening to I don't know, Orange Juice and the Blue Nile, or like
Right. Right.
like
Right.
you can see the different eras of things, Teenage Fan Club, like all these
Yeah.
kind of bands. I'm just yeah, super cool, super cool, super
Definitely.
passionate about Scottish music.
Yes, and let's go back to the Twilight Sad, because I did not know them prior to exploring your catalog, and
Okay.
then it was another kind of rabbit hole to go down because it was really cool music to learn about.
Yes.
But I believe the story goes that you were writing this track, "Don't Borrow Grief from Later,"
Hmm.
and you were already hearing the vocals of the lead singer of that band. And then you were
Yeah.
able to offer that, and they said yes. Like that had to be like one of the most cool moments where you're like, oh my
Oh,
gosh, it's all coming together.
yeah, that was crazy because I wrote that song with Mark and Megan. I mean, they primarily wrote like the music for it. Both are extremely ridiculously talented, and we were just like playing about the vocal ideas in the studio, and we'd recently met James at an event that we performed at. We performed at a beautiful charity event. It was called Playlist for Life, and
Mm-hmm.
it was all about people with Alzheimer's and living with
Got it.
that, and it was just a very moving night. And James performed at it, and we did as well. And
Yeah. So James Graham is the lead singer of the Twilight Sad.
yes,
Yes. Yeah.
sorry, yes,
No,
James
no,
Graham.
that's my bad. I should have said it earlier. But
No, that's okay. I know
yeah,
I'm just speaking about James there.
yeah.
And so we met at that, and then I think he must have just been on my mind when we were, and I've been listening to a lot of the Twilight Sad, I guess, just
Yep.
at that time. And yeah, we all were like, oh my god, I could so hear like James singing that, but
Mm-hmm.
never in a billion trillion years did I think that would happen.
Right.
But he was so up for it, which was just
That's beautiful.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
just great. It was like literally like I said, I remember saying to Megan, like, how often can you say like, oh, a dream actually came true? And
Totally. That's exactly
it
right.
did.
I can
Yeah.
imagine how mind blowing that was. Well, let's
And
bring it in here because it's a great song, and also I want to have people kind of take a listen because you're a duet basically on this one.
yes.
So take a listen to "Don't Borrow Grief from Later."
I hope you're good, not scared to speak. I won't say bye, but say goodnight. That feels more right. And when you sleep, you dream of us. You say to me, we're scared to die. I've never felt greater. Don't borrow grief from later. Oh,
wish there was something more, so I could give you all the life in the world. I've never felt greater. Don't borrow grief from me. Last time I went outside, I had to close my eyes. The day was far too bright. I've barely lived my life. I've never felt greater.
A gorgeous song.
Thank you.
And what a great title. Like, it's like you have to spend a moment to think about it, and then you're like, oh wait, that's really good advice.
Oh yeah, I love that phrase a lot. Like I remember reading it once and I was like, oh, I don't know. I guess if you're anxious, you'll live in the future. If you're depressed, you'll live in the past. And it's like trying to be present. And I kind of that's what the song was kind of about. Yeah, don't take sadness from later on, because that'll inevitably happen. So just
right. Yeah, it's
that'll be waiting for you.
Yeah.
So just try and be here and now. But yeah.
So cool. And a lot of people, when they sing, they lose their accent, regardless of what it is. Like, it becomes more just pure, and it does not happen for James. He sounds Scottish even when he's singing.
I know, he's so
and it's lovely. It's so nice. Like, it's just interesting how it still comes through.
It's beautiful. I find James one of the most special, captivating artists ever. Like, his when he plays with his own band, Twilight Sad, like, it's unlike anything. He's just very special. Very special.
Cool. And I can only imagine. So, like, that after he says yes, and you get there, like, I've had moments of being starstruck with people who I hugely admire who said yes to coming on the show, and I'm like, I don't know what question to ask. And then you like fall into a rhythm, but there's that when you first meet them, you're just like, holy smokes, I can't believe this is happening right now.
He is just the most like down to earth person ever, though. Like, he's like so no nonsense, like, so just me and him have like, I don't know, I feel quite a kindred spirit to James. Like, he's silly, and he's like but he's obviously got like that seriousness, which is why he's such a special songwriter. But I just only have good things to say about James. He's wonderful.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. I guess I wanted to kind of wrap up things here by talking about the future. Like, what's on the horizon for Theo Bleak Nation?
Oh my gosh. Well, all things going to plan. I have a live side of stuff. I have a headline in London, which is soon, which will be wonderful. Hopefully.
Awesome.
That'll be good. And
congrats on that.
some other just like bits and pieces, to be honest. Like, I just am trying to get out and open for people and just do some performing for new people. Like, it's always on my priorities. And then our EP, which will be out May time, which is where I'm kind of at just now. So a lot of new music. I have a single out this month. I've not even announced it yet. I'm actually so chaotic, but I'll be getting chased up for that, no doubt. But a single this month.
Well, so we're breaking news here then. There is a single,
great,
a Theo Bleak single coming out this month.
Serious breaking news.
So you're actually doing your job. Who anybody gives you.
That's true. Yeah, I am. Yeah. And then just keeping busy, keeping out of trouble, and hopefully just release some music. I'll just be here making music. It's
awesome. And again, super fingers crossed here for a US leg of the tour.
Happen.
And hopefully East Coast. So we can reach Philly and New York pretty easily, but the Bethlehem area, the Lehigh Valley scene, has some cool venues, some nice festivals, a really, really good listening public. So hopefully something can happen magically here in our Lehigh Valley area. I think that you would...
I would love it. Just keep me updated, and I will, if anything's on, and I will try my hardest to make it work. I would love to.
So cool. Yes. Anyway... one last thing I want you to touch on, because as we always do on this show, there's a song we play after the credits. It's becoming, I'm holding the song that I love the most from the artist to play at the end is almost like the encore, like come back on one more time, one more song kind of thing. Okay. So my favorite song, which is probably pretty common for many Theo Bleak fans, is Raining All the Time.
Yes.
So maybe just give it like a little bit of a foundation so people will know what they're about to listen to, and then we'll play it after the credits.
Yeah, so Raining All the Time, can't even say my own title, was the lead single from my EP Pain, which, yeah, I love that song. I think it was just such a new vibe for me. But yeah, I guess it was just a song about I write a lot about like reflection, obviously solitude and things. So I think it was after something particularly horrible but happened, but I would feel I don't know, again, just that safety of being at home and
Sure.
my own thoughts and not my own body, they were all mine, and I could
Right.
reclaim that. So it's quite a powerful message, I hope. And yeah,
And an amazing sound too. So
thank you so much.
Theo Bleak, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has been lovely. Very,
Yeah,
very
same.
lovely.
Thank you so much. So there you have Theo Bleak. Wonderful new sound. Hopefully it's something that people are digging. Lots of cool tracks out there. There's a bunch of EPs and singles. And then, as we heard, brand new music coming out this month. The EP later on sounded like May, so right before the summer season. And who knows, we may get a chance to see her perform here in the Lehigh Valley. But lots of great learning there. Again, like a true artist, a true creative, even like where she's just simply harnessing those inspirations, putting them into music and lyrics, and just recording some wonderful, wonderful stuff. So
All right, Phil,
please go
let's say
check it
goodbye
out.
to everybody.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Your Next Favorite Band. We'd like to sincerely thank Theo Bleak for coming on the show, sharing some incredible stories and behind-the-scenes kind of peek between the process, and just allowing us to play some incredible tunes and providing the stories behind them. We will obviously share links in the show notes to her YouTube and Spotify and Instagram and all that good stuff, where you can go and check all that stuff out. Give them a follow and a subscribe, and definitely, hopefully they can perform nearby you and you can check out a live show. It sounds like it's an amazing one, and I can't wait to check it out myself. As always, our hope here is to bring you your next favorite band. If you tuned in tonight because you already knew Theo Bleak, thank you so much. We hope you liked what you heard and what you saw, and you might give us a like and a subscribe so that we can bring you your next favorite band in the coming week. Or your next favorite band might already be out there. Nextfaveband.com has all of our prior interviews. We now have over 150 of them. If you need guidance on that, we're a suggestion of 2 or 3 to check out first. Drop us a note. We'd love to kind of help curate that for you. Or you can just grab 1 or 2 and you're going to love it. I can guarantee the stories and the entertainment value is there. If it's not quite your genre or your style, just pick another one and it'll happen. I can assure you of that. We only bring on people who perform the excellent genre. Lots of great stuff coming up here for the rest of February and March. Please get your tickets to listen to The Dissonance. We're about to announce our April show, which is the No Planet B Jamboree, so keep tuned for that, and hope to see you at a live show soon. And do not forget, stay tuned here for my favorite track by Theo Bleak, Raining All the Time. See ya.
He was on his mind, maybe half the time. Somewhere taking lines, promise you'll be mine. Now the stars align, don't scream at the time. Rotting on the inside, 'cause my home is not